Hello, everyone, and thank you for stopping by. So it's been a while since I did a predecessor character build video, so I'm sorry for that. I want to get a video out for every character, so that's going to be my goal for the next upcoming month. I'm going to get a video out for every character, and I also need to do both roles in the duo lane, a guide for them. My problem is I'm not very good at those lanes, so I need to come up with some tips. So if you have any tips and tricks for playing the duo lane, let me know and I will add it in the video, and I will give you credit where credit is due. So to get started, I'm just going to mention some things with Shinbi. She is a magic focused character, so a lot of the items we will be getting will be focusing on magical damage as well as magical penetration, ability haste, and stuff like that. So just a quick rundown of her abilities. Her Q ability will shoot a line as a wolf, and it will go and hit somebody, and it's kind of works as a poke. Her E ability is really broken. What it does is it puts a circle of wolves around you, which does damage around you, but it also adds a shield to you, giving you shield. So if you're getting chased and you're hoping to get away, you can use that ability, and it'll not only hurt the person chasing you, but it will also add a shield to you. So her right click ability is a dash ability that she can use twice within a certain time period. And not a lot of people seem to know this, but her right click ability, if she goes through somebody, it will do damage. So I will be adding some thoughts on that later on. But if you're attacking somebody and you go dash through them, you can go through them and attack them from behind, and they have to turn around. And when they turn around, you dash through them again, doing another bunch of damage, as well as making them have to turn around again, and you can have a really good advantage. So for her passive, it's kind of complicated, so I'm just going to read it directly from the game. It says basic attacks deal an additional 14 plus 12% magical damage on hit. Periodically, Biting Melody deals 3 times damage. Damaging an enemy hero with an ability decreases the cooldown by 1 second. So we will be adding an item that we'll be building on this, so just keep that in mind when I get to that certain item. All right, so I'm going to put her ultimate up there as well. So essentially what happens is when you use your other abilities like the dash, the Q, and the E, it builds up these stacks, which builds up to 8. You can use it whenever, but 8 is the most that you can get. And when you get to that point, you can use your ult and it'll hit them. And even if they're not close to you, it'll still get them. But there is a time limit on it, so if you don't use it fast enough, they can get away. So just be wary of that. But I have it up there so you can see the damage it builds up to. It can be quite a bit, especially when we get some of the items that I'll tell you to get. All right, so now that you have a basic understanding of her abilities, I'm going to discuss which crest that you should pick. So I'm going to start off by saying that both the Magician's Crest and the Occult Crest will be really good. I generally like to get the Occult Crest because you can get the Tempest, which is the crown item. And what it does is it does a ring of damage around you, doing shock damage to people. And when it does damage to them, it heals you up for that much as well. And with my Shinbi build, I like to do a lot of damage to people really quickly, so that's good for me. But I also realize that there's a lot of times where having the Magician's Crest one can be really good as well. One situation that I used the Magician's Crest because it was really helpful was when I was facing someone ranged in the off lane. Facing people in the off lane with ranged can be really annoying to deal with, and having that extra shield that you can get is really nice. So overall, I suggest getting the Occult one and then going for Tempest, but either one will work depending on your situation. So just be aware of what you're doing and which one is best for the situation that you're in. All right, so the first item you want to get is Megacosm. It adds 70 magical power, 300 mana, 10 ability haste, and deals 3% of the target's max health as damage over 3 seconds. Additional applications refresh the duration. So I like to get this one first because the ability haste and high magical power, as well as the extra mana, can be really big early game. The extra ability that it has is really nice to have when it does 3% of the target's max health over time. That's really nice for when you use your ult and you don't quite finish them off. Sometimes that extra like bleed damage will finish them off. So I really like to get this item for pretty early on. So the next item I'm going to suggest is Overseer, and this item is something that I think a lot of people overlook, but it's one of my favorite items to get. So I like to have any kind of lifesteal with any character that I'm playing, but this one is really good as well. It adds high magical power as well as adding magical penetration, but it also makes it so you deal 15% more damage with your ultimate, and 25% of the damage that's dealt to heroes will go towards healing you. I've had a lot of times where that extra 15% damage will kill someone, but it also another thing that's really helpful is it heals you. And there's been a lot of times that has saved me in fights with not only this character, but other characters as well. So I just wanted to add this clip right here where I show you just how much that healing is. I know that doesn't look like a lot, but that can save you in a fight. Like that is a significant amount if you're imagining that you're in a fight where it's equal ground. So the next item here that I'm going to suggest is Golem's Gift. So I get this item because it adds physical armor, which is really nice. And like 9 out of 10 times when you're in the off lane, you're going to be facing somebody that is physical damage. But I also like it because it adds a lot of magical power and it gives you mana regen as well as ability haste. And the additional ability is it'll add 5 magical power and 5 magical armor per stack as you're out of combat. So this one's really nice because most of the time you're going to be facing somebody that's physical powered focused. But when you're out of combat, you will be building up stacks of magical armor as well when you're out of combat. So if someone does go against you that has magical power, you will be able to stand a ground with them at least. But if the off chance that you are facing somebody that is magical damage, you can also get this other item called Spellbreaker. This is a really good item for having magical armor, and it also increases your overall magical power by 15%, which is really big. But with that being said, I would get Golem's Gift if you can, but if you're facing like a Quang or a Iggy in offlane, then you're going to want that. All right, so this next section is where I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I see so many people that don't get tainted items. Getting an item that has tainted, like this tainted scepter that I'm going to suggest for Shinbi, is one of the most important things that you can do in this game. It adds a lot of magical power, some health, and ability haste. But the big thing that it does is it reduces your target's healing by 40% for 4 seconds. So when you're fighting somebody and you damage to them that's magical damage, you'll reduce their healing. I can't overstate enough just how big of an advantage that is. Most people will be getting like some sort of lifesteal item or a healing item or health regeneration. They'll get something. And in the dual lane, sometimes you'll even be facing characters that just have abilities to heal, like Zinx. But there are some characters that focus on having lifesteal ability or regeneration abilities, like Chimera. He has a lot of regeneration abilities and a lifesteal. But perhaps one of the most annoying characters to deal with is Countess, and I noticed she's been getting banned and ranked a lot. And I honestly believe that a lot of the problems that people have facing Countess is they don't get a tainted item when facing her, so her lifesteal is just insane and she never dies, and she just uses her abilities constantly healing. Her ultimate regenerates like 50% of the damage she does to her health, and it's just crazy. But not as crazy as people just not using this tainted item when it's there. They should get it. And it's also just a good item in general. It adds a lot of magical power and haste. But anyways, moving on. If you are facing a Countess, I would suggest getting this almost as a first item. But if you're not facing anybody like a Chimera or a Countess, you don't really have to worry about getting it too soon. But eventually everybody will be getting healing items and you will want those in team fights. So this next item has been getting really popular for magical characters and mages, at least for ones like Shinbi who have a physical power basic attack that is melee. But this adds 70 magical powers, 35% attack speed, and 15% haste. And the additional ability is deals 20% magical damage on hit with basic hits. So if that last bit seems familiar, it's because it sounds a lot like what Shinbi's basic passive is. When she does basic hits on somebody, it does extra magical damage to them that stacks up and can also kind of have like a critical strike type thing that happens. So I like to get this item to accomplish 2 things. The first one is to build up on her passive so that you can do more damage with your basic attack and you have like those critical strikes. And when you get really lucky, it actually really can shred through people's armor and just destroy them. But the other reason I like to get attack speed with my basic attack is to destroy towers a lot faster because she can be really slow at destroying towers. So this is kind of better for later in the game when you're going to be going for towers because you don't really care about the towers too early in the game. But just some bonus, I didn't add this in my Aurora video, but this is a really good item for Aurora as well. So before we get to the last item, I just kind of wanted to thank everybody for the support that I get on these videos. It's a lot of work that goes into these videos, so I really appreciate all the support and likes and subscribers that I've been getting from it. So if this video or any other video that I have done has helped you out, be sure to like and subscribe, and also subscribe if you want to join me for streams every Tuesday at 7:30 Mountain Standard Time. And one last thing before we go to the last item, I just want to mention that there is hundreds of different builds that you can have, and this may not be the best build. This is just a build that I like to use, and I'm always changing, I'm always trying new items, and what items I suggest could change in the future. But anyways, without further ado, the next item that I suggest is Wraith Leggings. So this one's really good because it adds 95% magical power, which is a ton, and as well as magical penetration and 5% movement speed, which there's not a lot of items that give you movement speed, so that's really good to have. So if you're chasing anybody down or you're being chased down, you're running 5% faster than them. But the thing I really love about this item is the extra ability. So the Carnage ability, against heroes that are below 40% health, it deals an extra 12% bonus magical damage to them. So this is really good for comboing with your ultimate. If you're going after somebody and they get away and they're below 40% health, you'll do extra damage to them, just kind of guaranteeing that they'll die from your ultimate. With this build anyways, and when you're max level, your ultimate will be ready every 43 seconds. So the more damage you can do with your ultimate, the more kills you're going to be getting. But I have been getting some really high kill games with this build, and so I just thought I really wanted to share it because Shinbi's kind of a broken character right now, and I don't think a lot of people know that. Anyways, be sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you.